Central Asian Flyway meeting of range continues to strengthen the conservation effort for migratory birds and their habitats in Central Asian Flyway. Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, in collaboration with the United Nations Environment Programme, organized the meeting. The Central Asian Flyway is one among the 9 flyways. Ministry of Range meeting of range continues to strengthen conservation effort for migratory bird and their habitat. Migratory bird. Okay. Conservation Central Asian Flyway is one of the among the 9 flyways and even the Convention on the Migratory Species, also known as Bond Convention. Flyways are areas used by the group of birds during the annual cycle, which include the breeding, stopover, and wintering season. As the Central Asian Flyway encompasses overlapping migratory route over 30 countries for different water birds, linking their northernmost breeding ground in Russia, Siberia to southernmost non-breeding wintering ground in West and the South Asia, Maldives and the British Indian Ocean Territory. Indian provides a critical stopover site to over 90% of the bird species known to use this migratory route. Also, India developed a national action plan for the conservation of the migratory birds and their habitat. 2018-2023 importance of the Migratory Bird Act as a pest control agent in dispersal of seed, increase in species richness. Pest control agent, dispersal of seed, increase in species richness, support local communities by boosting ecotourism, important indicator for flagging state of environment. Flyways identified under the Convention on Migratory Species of Bond Convention. ये है मिसिसिपी. ओके, ये ऊपर देखो मिसिसिपी अमेरिकन फ्लाईवे, ये अटलांटिक अमेरिकन फ्लाईवे, ये पैसिफिक अमेरिकन फ्लाईवे, ये वाला देखो ब्लैक सी मेडिटेरेनियन फ्लाईवे, ईस्ट अटलांटिक फ्लाईवे, वेस्ट एशिया ईस्ट अफ्रीका फ्लाईवे, वेस्ट एशिया ईस्ट अफ्रीका सेंट्रल एशियन फ्लाईवे. चीता प्रोजेक्ट नेशनल टाइगर कंजर्वेशन अथॉरिटी फॉर द चीता प्रोजेक्ट स्टीयरिंग कमेटी टू कीप द वॉच ऑन द चीता प्रोजेक्ट. 11 member Cheetah Project Steering Committee. Cheetah Project Steering Committee comprising national and international experts constituted to oversee the implementation of Project Cheetah will be in force for the 2-year. Project Cheetah is the world's first intercontinental large wild carnivore translocation project. Since cheetah is a keystone species, the project was intended to restore open forests and grassland ecosystem, conserve biodiversity, restore open forest and grassland ecosystem. Committee is formed in the wake of the recent death of the cubs born to a translocated Namibian cheetah at the Kulu National Park in Madhya Pradesh में एक पार्क है Kulu National Park. Committee is formed in the wake of the recent death of the cub. Project Cheetah is the world's first intercontinental large wild carnivore translocation. Since cheetah is a keystone species, the keystone है to restore open forests, grassland ecosystem, conserve biodiversity, to a translocated Namibian cheetah to the Puno. Challenging and sustaining the Project Cheetah. Cheetahs have a tendency to range over wide distance, whereas Kulu has a very small area available. Animal behavior issues related to inability to learn dispersal and movement, foraging, territorial aggression, lack of similar prey base. Okay, from the native ecosystem at the plant, lack of similar prey base from the native ecosystem at their place of translocation, difficulty with the post-release monitoring due to the topography, remoteness, availability of the skilled personal forests across India suffer from large population of stray dogs who carry pathogens like parvovirus which are fatal to cheetahs. Monitor the progress of program and advise the Madhya Pradesh Tiger Forest Department and the National Tiger Conservation Authority decided on opening up the cheetah habitat for ecotourism and suggest a regulation in this regard. To suggest ways to involve the local community. The project activity tiger translocation, India's first interstate tiger translocation and project had failed. Tiger relocation project was initiated in 2018 by the National Tiger Conservation Authority, wherein the 2 big kids were translocated: a male Mahavir from the Kana Tiger Reserve and female Sundari from the Bandhavgarh. Kana and the Bandhavgarh. मेल का नाम था महावीर, फीमेल का नाम था सुंदरी. महावीर कान्हा थे. Bandhavgarh from Madhya Pradesh was located to Satkosia Tiger Reserve to serve 2 purposes: reducing tiger population with excess tiger to majorly reduce the territorial dispute, to reintroduce tiger in areas where the population has considerably reduced due to the various reasons: failure of project, poor prey augmentation, lack of capacity building of staff, enhancement of protection couldn't be achieved. Funds provided under the project tiger were diverted tiger human conflict. Satkosia Tiger Reserve comprised 2 wildlife divisions in Mahanadi and Satkosia. ये second biggest tiger reserve in Odisha after Simlipal. ये दूसरा सब biggest tiger reserve in Odisha after Simlipal. It is the second biggest tiger reserve in Odisha after Simlipal. ओके, सतकोशिया सबसे बड़ा सिमलीपाल है टाइगर रिजर्व, उसके बाद दूसरा है सतकोशिया पे। करेंटली सतकोशिया में कोई बड़ी कैट नहीं है। कान्हा नेशनल पार्क है नेशनल इज नेशनल इन द माइकल मध्य प्रदेश में सतपुराज है। सतपुराज में माइकल रेंज है। कान्हा नेशनल पार्क वॉज डिक्लेयर्ड रिजर्व फॉरेस्ट इन 1879 इन रिवोल्यूटेड एज अ वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी इन 1933 एंड पोजीशन फॉर फर्दर एक्टिविटी टू द नेशनल पार्क इन 1955। 1879 नेशनल पार्क रिजर्व फॉरेस्ट 1879, 1933 वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी नेशनल पार्क in 1955, रिजर्व फॉरेस्ट नेशनल पार्क in 1955, बांधवगढ़ नेशनल पार्क is spread over the Vindhya hill in Madhya Pradesh. The density of the tiger population in Bandhavgarh is the highest known in India as well as in the world. National Tiger Conservation Authority is a statutory body in the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, constituted under the enabling provision of Wildlife Act of 1972, established in 2005. Wildlife Protection Act 1972, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change issued the notification to amend the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Now all persons engaged in breeding in captivity or artificial propagating any scheduled specimen listed in Appendix 1 of the Schedule 4 of the Act are requested to make an application for a license. Appendix 1 of the Schedule 4 is endangered or exotic animal. जो endangered and exotic है red panda, various species of dog, wolves, cat, papier, chimpanzee, gibbons and plants and import rule for are stricter for them. Okay, all person engaged in breeding in captivity or artificially propagating any scheduled specimen listed in Appendix 1 of Schedule 4. Appendix 1 of Schedule 4 of the Act of Economic Region Policy. Earlier, captive breeding of exotic species for protection at the sites was not regulated. See what I have. British Antarctic Survey. ये अंटार्कटिका सर्वे स्टडी द इम्पैक्ट ऑफ क्लाइमेट चेंज ऑन सी बटरफ्लाई, सब border of the free swimming sea snail and the gastropod mollusk of the class gastropoda. Due to the rising ocean acidification, their survival is at threat. Sea butterflies and ocean acidification. What ocean absorb approximately a quarter of all carbon dioxide CO2 emission. During absorption, CO2 reacts with sea water. Absorption के टाइम पे CO2 किसके साथ रिएक्ट करता है? Word ocean absorb approximately a quarter of the all carbon dioxide emission. During the CO2 reacts with sea water and ocean pH level fall. This is known as ocean acidification and result in lower carbon ion concentration. Therefore, it reduces the availability of the carbon ion for the sea, reducing lower carbon ion acidification. Acidification बढ़ जाता है, carbon ion कम हो जाता है. Availability of carbon ion for the sea butterfly. Ocean is the most acidic in nature, or because cooler water absorbs more CO2. This means that the winter months are the most dangerous for the sea butterfly. As emission rise, acidification of ocean will intensify and extend to spring when the species is spawn and they are in the larva stage. This can diminish the population that would otherwise develop into a healthy adult. Their reduced population also impacts the larger petropods and other ocean creatures that feed on them. The entire underwater food chain on the sea surrounding Antarctica may suffer a ripple effect. Sea butterfly. Thecosomata or Thecosomes pteropoda. Like a snail, they have muscular feet that they use as flappers to swim around in water instead of glide on solid surface, due to which they are known as sea butterfly. They are hermaphrodite, possess both male and female reproductive organs. They have the calcified transparent shell. This calcium carbonate shell body allows them to adapt to the ocean acidity. They have the calcified transparent shell. This calcium carbonate cell body allows them to adapt to the ocean acidity. Geco Mizoraменsis, researchers from the Mizoram University and the Max Planck Institute for Biology, Germany, found a new species of flying gecko, also called parachute or gliding gecko, in Mizoram around the Indo-Myanmar border. Geckos are small, mostly carnivorous lizards found in warm climates throughout the world. Geckos small, mostly carnivorous. Biology Germany found a new species of flying gecko. Gecko बहुत ही small, mostly carnivorous lizard found in warm climate throughout the world. There are 13 species of flying gecko. One of them, only one species, Trichozoon leonotum, was found in Mizoram. It has been named Geco Mizoraменsis after the state of the Mizoram. It is around 20 cm in length. ये arboreal है that lives on trees. It can glide from one tree to another and is nocturnal. 20 cm length है, ये arboreal है, it can glide, it is nocturnal. It is more similar to Dicopopenesis, from which it differs genetically in having the discrete differences in morphology and color pattern. Baobab. Bill Tribe of Central India is opposing the Forest Department decision to give permission for uprooting. Bill Tribe of Central India is opposing the Forest Department decision to give permission for uprooting the baobab tree for commercial use. ये baobab, ये Bill Tribe है. Central India में एक tribe रहती है Bill, opposing the Forest Department decision to baobab tribe. Baobab belong to the genus Adansonia. Baobab Adansonia native to mainland Africa, Madagascar, and Australia. They have unusual barrel-like tongue and are known for their extraordinary longevity and live up to 2000 saal. And ethnobotanical importance: the tree's unique pendulous flowers are pollinated by the bats and the bush baby. I would say ये endangered है. Madhya Pradesh government has applied for the GI tag. Endangered है. Global Financial Innovation and Network. Global Financial Innovation Network (RBI) to join the Global Financial Innovation Network Greenwashing Tech Sprint. RBI has opened the application window for all India-based firms and innovators to participate in Global Financial Innovation and Network first ever Greenwashing Tech Sprint. Tech Sprint will bring together 30 international regulators, including RBI, alongside firms and innovators to address the Global Financial Innovation Network's priority on the environmental, social, and governance and mitigate the risk of greenwashing in financial service. Greenwashing is marketing that portrays an organization, product, activities, or policy as producing positive environmental or social outcome or avoiding environmental or social harm, but this is not the case. ESG environmental, social, and governance frameworks help stakeholders understand how an organization is managing risk and opportunities related to ESG criteria. India is gradually moving toward the ESG environment, social, and governance. Environmental, social, and governance. Environmental, social, and governance. In the regulation with the introduction of business responsibility, India is gradually moving towards the environmental, social, and governance. Regulation with the introduction of business responsibility and sustaining business responsibility, sustainability reporting framework by SEBI. Business responsibility sustainability reporting aim to establish link between the financial results of the business with its ESG employment, environmental, social, and governance. Environmental, social, and governance performance. Business responsibility sustainability reporting was made mandatory for top 1000 national entities by market capitalism from 2022 Global Financial Innovation Network. It formally launched in 2019 by an international group of financial regulators and related organizations, supporting financial innovation in the best interest of consumers and to create a new framework for cooperation between the financial service regulators on innovation-related topics. Over 70 organizations, including RBI from India, RBI है. It focused on emerging technology at a cross-sectoral level to identify the gaps in regulating ecosystem. Act as a surveillance tool to spot issues before they can crystallize and cause harm. Run collaborative data-focused activities. Gather insight from the global market and regulate on emerging technology trends and policies. United Nations Environment Program report on plastic pollution. Go circular to end the plastic pollution. United Nations report titled "Turning Off Tap: How the World Can End Plastic Pollution and Create a Circular Economy" address various issues associated with a solution for circular plastic economy while also safeguarding livelihood. Circular plastic economy is safeguarding livelihood. Circular economy is an economic system where the means of production are organized around the reusing and recycling input to facilitate a sustainable and environment-friendly mode of production. Sustainable, environment friendly. Global plastic pollution can reduce by 80% by 2040 if markets shift to a circular economy. Currently, world produces 430 million metric ton of plastic each year, of which over two-thirds are short-lived products. Currently, the world produces 430 million metric ton of plastic each year. Global plastic pollution can reduce by 80% by 2040. Currently, world reduces 430 million metric ton of plastic each year, of which over two-thirds are short-lived products. Global plastic pollution can reduce by 80% by 2040 if markets shift to a circular economy. Currently, the world produces 430 million metric ton of plastic each year, of which over two-thirds are short-lived. Global plastic pollution can reduce by 80% by 2050 if markets shift to a circular economy. Currently, world produces 430 million metric ton of plastic each year, of which over two-thirds are short-lived. Plastic could emit 19% of the global greenhouse gas emission allowed under 1. Oh God. Global plastic pollution can reduce by 80% by 2050 if market shift to a circular economy. अगर मार्केट को सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी में शिफ्ट किया, global plastic pollution can reduce by 80% by 2040. Currently, the world produces 430 million metric ton of plastic each year. Plastic pollution can reduce by 80%. 430 million metric ton of plastic each year, of which over two-thirds are short-lived. Plastic could emit 90% of the global greenhouse gas emission allowed under 1.5 degrees Celsius scenario by 2040, and production is set to triple by 2060 if business as usual continues. plastic pollution occurs when a plastic has gathered in an area and has begun to negatively impact the natural environment and create one of the plant, wildlife, and even the human population. Benefits from the transformed plastic economy, opportunities for job, income. Benefits from transformed plastic economy. जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ फॉर जॉब, इनकम बढ़ेगी लोगों की, इनोवेशन बढ़ेगा, रिडक्शन इन डैमेज टू ह्यूमन हेल्थ एंड एनवायरनमेंट, रिडक्शन इन डैमेज टू ह्यूमन हेल्थ एंड रिडक्शन इन लायबिलिटी, risk and litigation associated with damage from plastic pollution, ending plastic pollution, market and transformation to circularity through 3 market steps. Reduce the size of the problem, reduce, reuse, recycle, reduce, reuse, recycle, reorient and diversify, deal with the legacy, policy and regulatory framework. And green in peace published Forever Toxic, the science on global health threat from plastic recycling report. Report has been published ahead of the second session of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee to develop Global Plastic Treaty. In 2022, United Nations Environment Assembly in Nairobi, 175 countries have agreed to legally bind. यूनाइटेड नेशन इन्वायरमेंट असेंबली हुई थी कहाँ पे, नैरोबी में. 175 countries have agreed to legally binding in global plastic treaty to end plastic pollution by 2024. To end plastic pollution by 2024. Legally binding global treaty called Global Plastic Treaty to end plastic pollution by 2024. Greenpeace published Forever Toxic, the science on the health threat from plastic recycling report. Report has been published ahead of the second session of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee Global Plastic Treaty. In 2022, United Nations Environment Assembly in Nairobi, 175 countries have agreed to legally binding global treaty called Global Plastic Treaty to end the plastic pollution by 2024. To end plastic pollution by 2024. Greenpeace published Forever Toxic, the science on the health threat from the plastic recycling report. Report has been published ahead of the second session of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee to develop a global plastic treaty. In 2022, United Nations Environment Assembly at Nairobi, 175 countries have agreed to legally bind global treaty called Global Plastic Treaty to end the plastic pollution by 2024. Key highlight of the report: 3 poisonous pathway for the recycled plastic material to accumulate toxic chemical. Direct contamination for the toxic chemicals in virgin plastic. Substance like plastic container for pesticide, cleaning solvent and others that enter the recycling chain and can contaminate plastic. Recycling process when plastics are heated. Plastic pollution is forecast to triple by 2060. Threat from plastic production is forecast to triple by 2060. Threat from plastic recycling. Recycled plastic contain higher level of chemicals that can poison people and contaminate ecosystem. And recycled plastic contain higher level of chemical. जो recycled plastic है that can poison people, contaminate ecosystem. Plastic recycling persistent carcinogenic compound dioxin and furan. They carcinogen. Dioxin, furan, carcinogen and increasing risk of large fires at plastic recycling facilities, especially in those that hold e-waste plastic with used batteries. Institute Polita praised those whose pollution should bear the cost of managing it to prevent damage to human health and environment. For plastic waste management, promote non-combustion technology for plastic stockpiles and waste. One-stop center for zero waste. Government will launch one-stop center called Reduce, Recycle and Reuse, which will serve as a one-stop center solution for citizen, commercial enterprises, etc. to deposit the unused or the plastic item, cloth, shoes, footwear, book and toys items will then be given to different stakeholders to be refurbished or reused or will be made into new products contributing to a circular economy. These reduce, reuse and recycle center would be set up as part of the nationwide campaign Meri Life, Mera Swachh Shahar, My Life, My Clean City under the Aegis of Swachh Bharat Mission Urban 2.0. Debt for climate swap. Debt for climate swaps are a type of debt swapping on a debtor nation instead of continuing to make external debt payment and in a foreign currency make payment in local currency to finance climate projects domestically on agreed upon terms. It was introduced as a debt restructuring device that aimed to combat the climate change by ensuring that debt-ridden countries do not incur additional debt while addressing climate change locally. It was first used in 1980s in Latin America. It has been really popular among the low and middle income countries as a debt relief measure. Debt for climate swap would be used to generate the following outcome: enhance climate spending, boosting economic recovery. Given suppressed economic demand कोई हो ही नहीं रही है, the investment can stimulate the private investment, assist in economic recovery while accommodating climate resilience and protecting biodiversity, reducing external sovereign debt. fulfilling the global commitment of developed nation. Debt debt for climate swap. They serve as a means for the signatories of the Paris Agreement and the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero. Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero to fulfill their global commitment of providing financial assistance to developing countries in their effort to construct clean and the climate resilient future. Clean and climate resilient future. Clean and climate resilient future. The developing countries in their effort to construct clean and climate resilient future. Debt for climate swap. Sovereign debt. Creditor, debtor nation, escrow. Creditor, sovereign debt. ये debtor nation है. ठीक है. Credit nation partly forgives sovereign debt. Escrow or a transparent fund. Proceeds used in an agreed upon manner. Climate project. Climate change and inflation, according to a report published by the European Central Bank and the According to a report published by the European Central Bank, climate change will increase the global inflation by as much as 1 percentage point every year. As food will get costly, report ensures that the increasing temperature will lead to a rise in annual inflation ranging from 0.1.18 percentage point by 2030. This will pose challenges for both the consumer and policymaker who strive to maintain the low level of inflation. The similar analysis has been presented by IMF in its climate report, Eye of the Storm: The Impact of Climate Change on Inflation and the Growth. Climate-induced natural disasters have differential and opposing effect on inflation and the growth through multiple channels. They dampen the economic activity and lower the labor productivity, reducing wealth and income and thereby consumption and investment, affecting transportation, infrastructure and distribution costs. Impact of the weather-related shocks on the core and the food inflation shows significant variation in magnitude and pattern across the country group. The differing patterns of inflation and the growth response to climate shock will lead to a greater heterogeneity in the level of inflation and income growth explained by different segments of the society within a country. 1.5 degrees Celsius target, according to a global annual to decadal climate update 2023 and the state of the global climate 2022 by WMO, the global average temperature may rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2027. Under the 2015 Paris Agreement, parties have pledged to limit the average temperature rise to below 2 degrees Celsius. According to global annual to decadal climate update 2023 and the state of the global annual to decadal climate update 2023-2027 state of global climate 2022 by WMO, the global average temperature may rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2027. Under the 2015 Paris Agreement, parties have pledged to limit the average temperature rise to below 2 degrees Celsius while actively aiming for 1.5 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial level by 21st century. This was endorsed as a global target by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change 2018. The 2 degrees Celsius was unacceptable to small island countries as it implied that their survival was compromised. The 8 degrees Celsius is expected to prevent the planet from slipping into further climate crises like frequent and intense heat wave, drought, heavy precipitation, rise in sea level, etc. Key reason for inability to meet the target. Developed countries like US, Japan, Russia and Canada, who are historically responsible for a major chunk of the greenhouse gas emissions, have made little progress in meeting their pledges. Build back measures are taken to undo the impact of COVID-19 are non-sustainable. Build back measures that are taken to undo the COVID-19 pandemic are non-sustainable. Climate change. Arctic में sea climate impact क्या है अगर होगा? Okay. Sea ice free summer, exposure to flooding in 21st century, exposure to at least extreme heated once every 5 years, severe drought, increase in urban population, status of coral 70 to 90% lost हो जाएगा, नहीं तो 99% lost हो जाएगा. Okay, plant animal. Arctic amplification. Recently, a World Meteorological Organization study highlighted that Arctic warming is disproportionately high. The Arctic region has warmed at least twice as much as the world average. The warming differential between the poles and the tropic is known as Arctic or the polar amplification. Why Arctic is warming faster than the other part of the world? The ice cover in the Arctic is melting, because of which more land and water is getting exposed to the sun, leading to a more absorption of sunlight. The ice cover in the Arctic is melting, because of which more land water is getting exposed to the sun, leading to more absorption of sunlight. The ice cover in the Arctic is melting. Why Arctic is warming faster than the other part of the world? The ice cover in the Arctic is melting, because of which more land water is getting exposed to sun, leading to more absorption of sunlight. Heat transfers from the tropic to the pole through prevailing system of air circulation. Polar amplification is much stronger in Arctic than in Antarctica. This difference is because the Arctic is an ocean covered by sea ice, while Arctic is warming faster than the other part of the world. The ice cover in the Arctic is melting, because of which more land and water is getting exposed to the sun, leading to more absorption of sunlight. Heat transfer from the tropic to the pole through prevailing systems of air circulation. Polar amplification is much stronger in Arctic than in Antarctica. This difference is because the Arctic is an ocean covered by the ice cover. The Antarctic is melting, because of which more land water is getting exposed to the sun, leading to more absorption of sunlight. The warming differential okay, एक second. The Arctic region has warmed at least twice as much as the warming difference. The warming differential between the poles and the tropic is known as polar amplification. While Arctic is warming faster than the part of the ice cover in the Arctic is melting, because of which more land water is getting exposed to the sun. Melting land and water is getting exposed to the sun, leading to more absorption of sunlight. Heat transfer from the tropic to the pole through prevailing system of air circulation. Polar amplification is much stronger in Arctic than in Antarctica. The difference is because the Arctic is an ocean covered and Arctic एक ocean है covered by sea का ice, while Antarctica is an elevated continent covered in more permanent ice and snow. Okay, Arctic एक ocean है covered by sea ice. WMO, intergovernmental organization established by the notification of the World Meteorological Organization. Headquarters इसका जिनेवा स्विट्जरलैंड में. Intergovernmental organization established by the ratification of the WMO convention in 1950, originated from the International Meteorological Organization in 1873, dedicated to international cooperation and coordination on the state and behavior of the earth atmosphere, interaction with the land in the ocean, the weather and climate prediction, the resulting distribution of water resource. 193 member states and territories हैं. It is a supreme body, the World Meteorological Congress, a specialized agency of the United Nations. River City Alliance. Okay, Amrit and Munga block in Arabian Sea, ONGC had discovered crude oil and natural gas in two blocks named Amrit and Munga block. Open acreage and licensing policy block in Mumbai offshore in Arabian Sea. Arabian Sea में मुंबई offshore है, वहाँ पर open acreage and license policy under hydrocarbon exploration and licensing policy. It gives an option to a company looking for exploring hydrocarbons to select the exploration block on its own without waiting for the formal bid round from the government. And under the open acreage and licensing policy, a bidder intending to explore hydrocarbons like oil and gas, coal bed, methane gas, and etc. may apply to the government seeking exploration of new block not already covered by exploration. HELP is an exploration and production policy launched by the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas in 2016 that replaced the new exploration licensing policy to improve exploration and production in India. Government of India intend to increase India's exploration acreage to 0.5 million kilometer square by 2025 and 1 million kilometer square 0.5 million kilometer square by 2025, 1 million kilometer square by 2030. Government of India intend to increase India's exploration acreage to 0.5 million kilometer square by 2025 and 1 million kilometer square by 2030. Data as per the ministry, to increase India's exploration acreage to 0.5 by 2025, 1 by 2030. As per the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, India is the world's third largest consumer of energy, third largest consumer of crude oil. कंज्यूमर की बात करते हैं तो थर्ड लार्जेस्ट कंज्यूमर ऑफ एनर्जी क्रूड ऑयल, फोर्थ लार्जेस्ट रिफाइनर, सिक्स लार्जेस्ट इंपोर्टर ऑफ पेट्रोलियम प्रोडक्ट, सेवन लार्जेस्ट एक्सपोर्टर ऑफ पेट्रोलियम प्रोडक्ट। ये अजीब बात है। उसके बाद है पालघाट गैप, ऑफन कॉल्ड एज अ सिग्निफिकेंट डिसकंटिन्यूटी। वेस्टर्न घाट इज जियोलॉजिकली shear zone, weak region in the earth that trend from east to west. It is called that connect the Coimbatore with Palakkad. भारतपुजा रिवर फ्लोज थ्रू इट। पालाघाट के बीच में भारतपुजा रिवर करती है। ये किसको कनेक्ट करता है? पालाघाट कोयम्बतूर विद पलक्कड़, कोयम्बतूर को पलक्कड़ से कनेक्ट करता है। ओरिजिन ऑफ द पालाघाट ऑल्सो स्टेम फ्रॉम द ड्रिफ्ट ऑफ द कॉन्टिनेंटल भारतपुजा कोयम्बतूर विद पलक्कड़। भारतपुजा रिवर is also stemmed from the drift of continental South Australian Africa, broke off from Gondwana landmass. Western Ghat in north of Palaghat, but ये पालाघाट गैप है, इसके वेस्टर्न घाट इन नॉर्थ रिसीव मोर रेन एनुअली नॉर्थ ऑफ द पालाघाट गैप है। इसका जो यहाँ पे वेस्टर्न घाट इन नॉर्थ रिसीव मोर रेन एनुअली बट साउथ के एच रेन मोर इवनली receive more rain annually but south gets rain more evenly throughout the year. Vegetation in Palghat Gap is classified as dry but evergreen forest. It also marks a divide in flora and fauna. The region species richness and phylogenetic diversity are abundant in Western Ghats species richness, phylogenetic diversity. Western Ghat, south of Palad Ghat gap. Next has sun halo. The phenomenon of the sun halo was witnessed in North India. It is a multicolored ring that appears like a rainbow circle of the star. It is also referred to as 20-degree halo because the radius of the circle is always approximately 20 degrees. Halos are a sign of a high dense cirrus cloud drifting 20,000 feet 6 km or more above our head. These clouds contain millions of the tiny, unique hexagonal ice crystals. These ice crystals are found in cirrus clouds, which are thin and the wispy cloud. When sunlight enters these ice crystals, it is refracted. जब सनलाइट इन आइस क्रिस्टल में जाते हैं वो रिफ्रैक्ट होता है और बंट इन द क्रिस्टल सरफेस. दिस bending of light causes the sun rays to separate into the component color because of dispersion, creating a spectrum of colors that are visible as the halo. The crystal must be oriented and positioned with respect to one side for the halo to appear. This is why sun halos are relatively rare. Light undergoes two refraction as it passes through the ice crystals, and the bending that occurs depends on the ice crystal's diameter. In a 22-degree halo, light enters from one side of the ice crystal and exits through ice crystal and access from the another, being reflected on both entry and the exit. Like rainbow halos around the sun or the moon are considered personal. Everyone sees their own unique halo made by the ice crystal from their point of view. The lunar halo are mostly colorless because moonlight isn't very bright. Atmospheric optical phenomena like halos were used as a part of weather, low traditional knowledge, which was an empirical means of weather forecasting before meteorology was developed. They often do indicate that rain will fall within the next 24 hours, since that cirrostratus cloud that cause them can signify an approaching frontal system. Cirrostratus cloud. कौन सा क्लाउड होता है? cirrostratus cloud. What second deepest blue hole in Mexico? Scientists have uncovered a massive sinkhole off the coast of the Mexico. Okay, Mexico. Mexico में एक peninsula है, Yucatan Peninsula. A massive sinkhole. The Mexican blue hole has been named as Tamza, which means deep water in Mayan. Blue hole is actually a massive underwater sinkhole, which is hundreds of meters long and span across the area that are bigger than cities and stand at a height of several skyscrapers. Blue holes get their name from their indigo centers and light blue perimeter. It is believed to have been formed in the Ice Age, when the sea level was as low as 100 to 120 meters lower than the current level. Considered a hotspot of microbial biodiversity. Indigo centers and light blue perimeters. Dragon hole or Longdong. ये deepest blue hole है on the earth and is situated in the Mexican blue hole has been scientists have a massive sinkhole. Yucatan Peninsula Mexico and Tamza or the deep water in Mayan. ये massive underwater sinkhole is 100 meters long and span across the area that are bigger than cities and stand at a height of several skyscrapers. Blue holes get their name from the indigo centers and light blue perimeters believed to have been formed in the Ice Age, where the sea level was as low as 100 to 120 meters lower than the current level. Considered a hotspot of microbial biodiversity, Dragon Hole or Longdong is the deepest blue hole on the earth and situated in the South China Sea. Is more than 980 feet deep. Yucatan Peninsula is a peninsula of Central America separating the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean Sea. Gulf of Mexico and the Yucatan Peninsula. ये Mexico में Yucatan Peninsula, Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean Sea. And the Caribbean Sea. In Central America separating Gulf of Mexico and Caribbean Sea. Include part of Mexico, Guatemala. ये Mexico है, Guatemala है, and Belize. Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras. Yucatan, Gulf of Mexico, Caribbean Sea, Yucatan Peninsula, Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras. एक साउथ चाइना सी में क्या नाम था? ड्रैगन होल और लॉन्गडोंग. नेक्स्ट टॉपिक है अरोरा. इंडियन एस्ट्रोनॉमिकल यहाँ से पढ़ते हैं. River Cities Alliance, the national mission for the clean Ganga. National mission Clean Ganga organized is River City Alliance Global Center. River City Alliance is a democratic platform for the river cities to ideate, discuss and exchange information for sustainable management of urban waste. Ideate, discuss and exchange information. It has expanded to 109 river cities across India and one international member city from Denmark. Alliance is open to all river cities of India. It is a joint initiative by the Ministry of Jal Shakti, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Carbon Offsetting Reduction Scheme for International Aviation. Ministry of Civil Aviation has announced that India will start participating in International Civil Aviation Organization Carbon Offsetting and Reduction Scheme for International कार्बन ऑफसेटिंग रिडक्शन स्कीम फॉर इंटरनेशनल एविएशन, लॉन्ग टर्म एस्पिरेशन गोल्स फ्रॉम 2027. In order to mitigate carbon emission from aviation, International Civil Aviation Organization had adopted a goal of 2% annual fuel efficiency improvement through 2050. 2% annual fuel efficiency improvement. 2% annual fuel efficiency improvement through 2050. Carbon neutral growth, net zero by 2050. ग्रोथ कैसी होनी चाहिए? कार्बन न्यूट्रल ग्रोथ, net zero by 2050. In order to mitigate the carbon emission from aviation, ICU has adopted a goal of 2% annual fuel efficiency improvement through 2050. Carbon offsetting and reduction scheme for international aviation. International Civil Aviation Organization carbon offsetting reduction scheme for international aviation, long term aspiration goal from 2027. In order to mitigate the carbon emission from aviation, ICU has adopted the goals for 2% annual fuel efficiency improvement to 2050, carbon neutral growth, and net zero by 2050. CORSIA offers a harmonized way to reduce emission from international aviation, minimizing market distortion by respecting special circumstances and respective capabilities of ICU member state. CORSIA is implemented in 3 phases. एक पायलट फेज 2021 से 2023, फर्स्ट फेज 2024 से 26 and सेकेंड फेज 27 से 35. पार्टिसिपेशन इज वॉलंटरी फॉर द फर्स्ट 2 फेज. फर्स्ट कॉर्सिया 2021-23, 23 के बाद 24 से 26, फिर 27 से 35. Corsia is applicable only to flights originating from one country to another international flight. Corsia will mitigate around 2.5 billion tons of CO2 between 2021 से 2.5 billion ton, which is an annual average of 164 million ton. हर साल 2021 से 2035 तक कितना 2.5, हर साल कितना 164. 41st ICU Assembly adopted the long-term aspiration goal for international aviation on net zero carbon emission by 2050 in support of United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change Paris Agreement. LTAG does not attribute specific obligation or commitment in form of emission reduction goal to individual state, but each state will contribute within its own national time frame and circumstances. ICO का हेडक्वार्टर मॉन्ट्रियल कनाडा में है. It was established in 1947 under the Convention on International Civil Aviation, या Chicago Convention, which was adopted in 1944 by the 54 nations. 193 मेंबर इसके हैं. इंडिया का मेंबर है. ICO is not an international aviation regulator. It is a specialized agency of the United Nations. Its vision is to achieve the sustainable growth of the global civil aviation system. Aurora, Indian Astronomical Observatory in Ladakh successfully documented the occurrence of a rare aurora phenomenon for the very first time. IAO is situated above the Mount Saraswati in the लद्दाख में एक वैली है चंगथंग वैली. लद्दाख में एक जगह है चंगथंग, उसमें एक वैली है हेनले वैली, उसमें एक वो है माउंट सरस्वती. International Astronomical Observatory, Mount Saraswati, at nearly 14,800 feet above the auroras are the geomagnetic storm which are seen due to an intense interaction of the sun's plasma wave and the earth's magnetic field. During a coronal mass ejection, billions of the charged particles move into space at an ultra high speed. Some reach up to 3 million kilometers per hour. When they arrive in the direction of the earth, they cause a disturbance in the earth's magnetic field and enable us to see the auroral light. The shape of the earth's magnetic field creates two auroral ovals above the earth, above the north and the south magnetic pole. It is called an aurora borealis in northern light near the north pole, and aurora australis or the southern light near the south pole. They are more frequent at higher latitude and places like Alaska, Canada, and Antarctica closer to Earth pole. However, due to the geo-effective coronal mass injection, the northern lights were observed at an unprecedented mid to low altitude across the United States, brightly lit European cities, and even over China and India. According to report, this remarkable plunge in auroral activity has not been witnessed in 2015. They occur at any time of the day, but it can be seen within the naked eye. It can't be seen with the naked eye unless it's dark. Colors and the patterns are from the type of ions or atom being energetic as they collide with the atmosphere and are affected by the lines of magnetic field. Altitude affects the color. Blue, violet, red occurs below 100 km, with bright green strongest between the 100 to 240. Ruby red over 240. Condition for the aurora light: clear sky, red, no cloud, total darkness. नेक्स्ट टॉपिक है सोशल इशू का. Accreditation of the Higher Education Institution. Radhakrishnan Committee report on reforms in accreditation system of the India's higher education institution has been put in public domain. This overarching committee, headed by the former ISRO chief Dr. K. Radhakrishnan, was set up by the Ministry of Education. ISRO chief थे Radhakrishnan, Ministry of Education 2022. This mandatory committee includes strengthening the assessment and accreditation process. कैसे assess करना accreditation, preparing a roadmap for the National Accreditation Council envisioned in the National Education Policy 2020. Significance of accreditation: they can select the best institution and program, have to determine the program credibility and knowledge level of the student retention, better planning for resource allocation, attracting investment, student retained investment tie resource allocation, funding. They could get objective data to assess the eligibility of the institution for funding, enhance opportunities for improving ranking, international ranking. The proposed reforms are consistent with the vision of the National Education Policy (NEP) 2020 and adopt the right away a simple, trust-based, credible, objective, rationalized system for approval, accreditation, and ranking of higher education institutions. Also, the committee has suggested that the national education system should make transition to the proper accreditation regime by December 2023, even if the National Accreditation Council is set up later. National Accreditation Council is one of the four verticals of the Higher Education Commission of India. National Accreditation Council is one of the four verticals of the Higher Education Commission of India. It has been established as the meta-accrediting body with responsibility for overseeing and supervising an independent ecosystem of accrediting institutions. The committee has suggested that the educational system should make transition to the proper education system. The proposed reforms are considered with the vision of the national adopt right away a simple, trust-based, credible, objective, rational system for approval, accreditation, and ranking. Also, the committee suggested that the educational system should make transition to the proposed accreditation right by December 2003, even the National Accreditation Council set up later. Okay. NAC, National Accreditation Council, has been one of the four verticals of the Higher Education Commission of India. It has been envisaged as the meta-accrediting body with responsibility of overseeing and supervising an independent ecosystem of accrediting institutions. Key accreditation systems in India: National Assessment and Accreditation Council. National Assessment Accreditation Council, set up in 1994 to facilitate the volunteering institution to assess their performance. The accreditation is valid for 5 years. National Assessment Accreditation Council. It was set up in 1994 to facilitate the volunteering institution to assess their performance. The accreditation is valid for 5 years. National Institutional Ranking Framework. It was launched in November 2015 by the Ministry of Education. Since 2018, it is mandatory for all government and education institutions to participate in national accreditation assessment of the quality of education. Accreditation is the assessment of the quality of education. University Grant Commission accord recognition to the higher education institution under the provision of the UGC Act of 1956. Multiple agencies within the ambit of the union government and even some state lately have been mandated for periodic approval, assessment, accreditation, and ranking. Challenges: India's accreditation system, centralized system, regulation and accreditation in India centralized with poor outreach in the federal state. Regulation and accreditation in India बहुत ही centralized with poor outreach in federal state. Also, their systems have not kept pace with the growing number of higher education institutions in India. Low participation. The low level of willingness of the higher education institution to volunteer for this process continues to be a cause of concern. For example, there are 113 universities across the country, out of which only 418 are accredited by the NAC. National Accreditation, AICT, National Board of Accreditation, and the National Institute of Ranking Framework. National Assessment and Accreditation Council 1994 में, National Institute of Ranking Framework 2015 में, AICT 1945 में, 1987 में इसे स्टैट्यूटरी स्टेटस दिया गया था, पहले एडवाइजरी थी. फिर नेशनल बोर्ड ऑफ एक्रेडिटेशन 1994 में. It was initially established by the ICT in the year 1995. 2003 it was not made completely independent. तो एक सेकेंड, 1994 में दो था, NAC के बाद नेशनल बोर्ड ऑफ एक्रेडिटेशन, AICT 1945 में, 2015. Okay. But behind the participation of higher education in accreditation, the UGC launched the Paramarsh scheme. Under the scheme, some of the best performing institutions were identified to serve as a mentor to at least 5 institutes aspiring to get accredited. duplication and overlapping. Presently, multiple agencies within the ambit of the union government and some state lately have been managed for periodic approval, assessment, accreditation, and ranking. Each of these agencies collect information from the responder higher education students so that and that may be the same or similar. Challenging process for collection of the information sought by the accrediting agency that too at the different periodicity are cumbersome and tiresome. Manual hybrid system. This brings a higher degree of subjectivity inconsistency between the assessment by different agencies. Alleged correlation. For example, recently the possibility of the vested interest malpractice under the NAC accreditation system have been highlighted. Key recommendation for improving India's accreditation system of higher education institution. Composite assessment system. It includes all higher education every program and the newly proposed assessment in the accreditation system. Amalgamate program accreditation and institutional accreditation considering their interdependency and involve the composite assessment system. Binary accreditation system. The committee proposed a transition from the present 8-point grading system of NAC to an binary accreditation system, accredited and non-accredited. Committee proposed two subdivisions in the non-accredited category, that is awaiting accreditation for those who are close to the threshold level and not accredited for those who are far below the standard for accreditation. It is further proposed to mentor the institution falling far below the standard for accreditation. Technology driven system. To ensure transparency and credibility, upgrade the One Nation One Data platform to provide adequate access control and security feature, ingestion of a harmonized data, etc. Other proposals. Enable choice-based ranking framework for diverse users, student funding agencies, industries, etc. Okay. In India, there are no mandate from the government on regular school evaluation. NEP 2020 visualize an effective quality self-evaluation or evaluation system for all stages of education, including preschool. It also recommends a separate school quality assessment and accreditation system developed by the State Council of Education Research and Training. National Accreditation Board for Education and Training is offering an accreditation program called Accreditation Center for Quality School and Governance. NABET is a constituent board of the Quality Council of India. The standard has three basic sections: school governance, educational process and support process, performance measurement and improvement. Technology driven system. To ensure the transparency and credibility, upgrade the One Nation One Data platform to provide adequate access control and security feature. Access control, security feature, ingestion of harmonized etc. Enable a choice-based ranking system for diverse users, student funding agency, industry, etc. Initiate a robust outreach mechanism in tandem with effective method of handholding the potential entrant. Rather than one-size-fits-all model in vogue currently, categorize the higher education institution based on their orientation, vision, and heritage legacy. Simplify the accreditation process, especially for the first cycle, and bring down the periodicity for re-accreditation. Simplify the accreditation process, especially for the first cycle. Bring down the periodicity for the re-accreditation to 3 years. Choice-based ranking system for diverse users. Initiate a robust outreach mechanism. Rather than one-size-fits-all in vogue currently, with the hierarchy based on the orientation, vision, heritage, legacy. Simplify the accreditation process, especially for the first cycle, and bring down periodicity for re-accreditation for 3 years. Sexual harassment at workplace. Recently, the Supreme Court took the cognizance of the serious lapse and uncertainty in the implementation of the protection of the women from the sexual harassment and POSH Act 2013. When the cognizance came in the backdrop of a newspaper survey revealing only 16 out of 30 national sport federations in the country had constituted internal complaint committee ICC managed under the 2013. 30 में से सिर्फ 16 ने किया है. इंटरनल कंप्लीट कमेटी. नेशनल ह्यूमन राइट कमीशन also issued notice to the erring sport bodies, Sport Authority of India and the Board of Control for Cricket in India BCCI along with the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sport. Type of sexual harassment at workplace. Quid pro quo. This type of sexual harassment implies seeking sexual favors or making sexual advances in exchange for benefit at work. Quid pro quo. Hostile work environment. It involves uninvited and unwelcome conduct or behavior, physical, verbal, non, which create a work environment that makes it uncomfortable for a worker to be there. Okay, National Human Rights Commission also is noticed for the erring sport body, Sport Authority of India, BCCI, Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sport, about sexual harassment and workplace. Sexual harassment in the workplace is classified under two main types. Code of the sexual harassment and workplace. Individual psychological suffering, behavioral change like isolation, stress-related physical and mental illness, professional losses like foregoing career opportunities, employers, enterprise, low productivity, hindered progress, innovation, poor image of a company. Low productivity cover. Low productivity, hindered progress and innovation, poor image of a company. Cost of sexual harassment, in which इतना poor image of society, women undermines access to high status, legal justice, criminal justice, expenses, long-term rehabilitation costs. To make workplace safer for women by preventing, prohibiting and prevent करो, चलो हो गया तो prohibit करो. Redressing act of sexual harassment against them in the workplace, sexual harassment of women at workplace, prevention, prohibition and redressal act or POS act. Prevention of sexual harassment at workplace 2013 was enacted. The act protected and gave legislative backing to what was known as Visakhapatnam Guidelines, laid down by the Supreme Court in a judgment passed in 1997. Visakhapatnam Guidelines defined sexual harassment, imposed 3 key obligations on institution: prohibition हो गया, prohibit करो, prevention and redressal, mandate institution and to establish a complaint committee. Key provision of the POS Act 2013. Definition of sexual harassment. Sexual harassment includes anyone or more of the following unwelcome acts or behavior, whether directly or by implication, namely physical contacts or advances, a demand or request for sexual favors, making sexually colored remarks, showing pornography, any other unwelcome physical, verbal, non-verbal conduct of sexual. Definition by any place visited by the employee arising out of or during the course of employment, including transportation provided by the employer for undertaking such a journey. A workplace covers both the organized and the unorganized sectors. Agreed to Union covers all the women irrespective of their age or employment status, and whether in organized or unorganized sectors, public or the private. It also covers client, customers and domestic workers as well. Complaint committee. Internal complaint committee mandatory in every private or the public organization that has 10 or more employees. The ICC needs to have a minimum of 4 members, or at least half of them women of whom minimum of 4 members, and at least half of them women of whom one shall be an external members. The ICC has powers similar to those of a civil court. डिस्ट्रिक्ट ऑफिसर टू कॉन्स्टिट्यूट. डिस्ट्रिक्ट ऑफिसर जो होंगे वो एक लोकल कमेटी बनाएंगे टू रिसीव कंप्लीट फॉर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन विद लेस देन 10 वर्कर्स और इफ कंप्लेंट इज अगेंस्ट द एम्प्लॉयर इटसेल्फ. Any aggrieved victim or on a legal area may file a complaint for the ICC to take action. The complaint must be made within 3 months from the date of the incident. However, the ICC can extend the time where the ICC may, before inquiry and at the request of the aggrieved woman, take a step to settle the matter between her and the respondent through conciliation. However, no monetary settlement shall be made as a basis of conciliation. The ICC may either forward the victim's complaint to the police, or it can start an inquiry that has to be completed within 90 days. When the inquiry is completed, the ICC must provide a report of its finding to the employer within 10 days. Was meant to the employer. If the allegation of such harassment are proved, the ICC will recommend to the employer to take action in accordance with the provision of the service rule of the company. If either the aggrieved woman or the respondent is not satisfied, then they may appeal to the court within 90 days. The ICC may recommend to the employer that it take action against the woman or the person who has made the complaint in accordance with the provision of the service rule. False complaint. Ensuring privacy and the identity of women, the respondent or the witness. Any information on the inquiry, recommendation and action taken should not be made public. Challenging and preventing sexual harassment in the workplace. Subjectivity of the term sexual harassment. There is no single definition which can define the prohibited sexual behavior. Also, since sexual harassment involves a range of behavior, even the victims find it difficult to explain what they experience. Dismissive attitude of organization often lack comprehensive and well communicated policies. Procedure to address sexual harassment. In the absence of formal structure, women often hold back from sharing incidents about the sexual harassment. Reporting barrier. Often victims hesitate to report complaints against the offender due to the concern about the potential repercussions. Job चली जाएगी. Social stigma, damage to family tradition, social challenges of cross culture and global connection. Organizations operating in diverse culture connect face the challenge of addressing the difference in attitude. सबके belief, legal framework surrounding the sexual harassment. Cultural norms and language barrier and variation in legal definition. Can complaint prevents cultural norms, language barriers, variation in legal definition can complicate prevention effort. Shortcoming in the POS Act. The law protects only women. Even the victim of sexual harassment could be from any genders. The law protects only women. Law किसे protect करता है? Only women. Even the victim of sexual harassment could be from any gender. The law is silent on the incident of sexual harassment perpetrated by the same sex. Action against the perpetrator is taken by the employer based on the provision of the service rule of the company. These may vary from company to company. The law protects only women. Even though sexual harassment can be from any gender, the law is silent on the incident of sexual harassment perpetrated by the same sex. Action against the perpetrator is taken by the employer based on the provision of the service rule of the company. These may vary from company to company. Establish ICC. Ensure that all organizations, regardless of the size of the sector, establish ICC as mandated by law. Implement effective grievance redressal. Provide adequate resources to handle the complaints promptly, ensuring fair investigation and appropriate actions against the perpetrators. Effective grievance redressal. Zero tolerance policy should be adopted within the core of the conduct for employees to show companies' firmness against the sexual harassment. Enhancing understanding of sexual harassment. Conduct regular training for all staff and management. Establish ICC. Implement effective grievance redressal mechanism. Zero tolerance policy should be adopted with the conduct for employees to show companies' firmness against sexual harassment. Enhancing understanding of the sexual harassment. Conduct regular training for all staff and management to enhance understanding of specific behaviors that may sexual harassment. Encourage reporting. Create a supportive environment that encourages the victim to come forward without the fear of retaliation. Increase public awareness. The aim to create an environment of public and awareness program to ensure victims come forward with their problems and the complaint. Amending the POS Act 2013. It is a gender-neutral law. To prevent the sexual harassment would have to prioritize. To prevent sexual harassment, would have to prioritize equality, safety, justice for all, including those of non-normative gender identities. The law must address the incident of the sexual harassment case involving the same sex. Actions against the perpetrator should define objectively. Actions against the perpetrator should be defined objectively. Actions against the perpetrator should be defined objectively. Actions against the perpetrator should be defined objectively. News in short. पोषण भी पढ़ाई भी ये scheme under Union Ministry of Women and Child Development launched पोषण भी पढ़ाई भी scheme. पोषण भी पढ़ाई भी will focus on early childhood care and education. First 6 years of children at Anganwadi across the country. It will focus on early childhood care and education. It will focus on early childhood care and education. Union Ministry of Women and Child Development launched the पोषण भी पढ़ाई भी. पोषण भी पढ़ाई भी will focus on early childhood care and education. First 6 years of children at Anganwadi across the country. Key highlights of the scheme. It envisages training of Anganwadi workers through the National Institute of the Public Cooperation and Child Development. National Institute of Public Cooperation and Child Development. It targets the children's development and in every domain mentioned in the national curriculum framework like the physical and the motor development. It envisages the training of the Anganwadi workers through the National Institute of Public Cooperation and National Institute of Public Cooperation and Child Development. It targets the children's development in every domain mentioned in the national curriculum framework like the physical, motor development, cognitive development, etc. It will focus on promoting holistic and the quality early stimulation and pre-primary education for children. ECCE. Early childhood care and education refers to providing care including health and nutrition as well as early learning opportunity to young children. A productive and stimulating environment consisting of play-based and developmentally appropriate activities are vital for the children's physical, motor, cognitive and the socio-emotional and language development. EC. Early childhood care and education is a crucial component of Mission and Saksham Anganwadi and Poshan 2.0. Mission Poshan 2.0 and was foreseen under the National Education Policy 2020. Saksham Early Childhood Care and Education Mission Saksham Anganwadi Poshan 2.0 National Education Policy 2020. Anganwadi centers in India, they are established under the Integrated Child Development Scheme 1975. 1.39 million operational Anganwadi centers across the country are providing supplementary nutrition and early care and education to around 80 million children under the age of 6 years. कितने आंगनवाड़ी सेंटर हैं? 1.3. इंटीग्रेटेड चाइल्ड डेवलपमेंट सेंटर्स 1975. इंटीग्रेटेड चाइल्ड डेवलपमेंट सेंटर्स 1975. कितने आंगनवाड़ी सेंटर हैं? 1.39. कितने चिल्ड्रन हैं? 80 million children under the age of 6 years. Child malnutrition. Levels and trends in the child malnutrition. Joint Child Malnutrition Estimate 2023 release. Report was jointly published by the UNICEF, World Health Organization and the World Bank Group. It revealed insufficient progress to reach the 2025 World Health Assembly Global Nutrition World Target and 2030 Sustainable Development Goal 2.2 and all forms of malnutrition target. In 2022, 22.3% of children under the age 5 worldwide were affected by stunting too short for high study. India had a stunting rate of 31.7% in 2005. 2022 estimated 45 million children under 5 were affected by wasting. In 2020, 18.7% of Indian children were affected by wasting caused by poor nutrient intake and 37 million children overweight. India has an overweight percent of 2.8%. Malnutrition represents deficiency or excess in a nutrient intake, imbalance of essential nutrients, or impaired nutrient utilization. Indian initiative to take a malnutrition integrated child development scheme, nutritional rehabilitation center. Integrated Child Development Scheme, Nutritional Rehabilitation Center, Poshan Abhiyan, National Nutrition Mission, Issue the Child Marriage. UNICEF has set the global Polycrisis show that the progress to end the child marriage as per the new Nations by UNICEF. Multiple crises, including the conflict, war, climate shock, and the ongoing fallout of the COVID-19, are threatening to reverse declining child marriage in the last decade. Approximately 640 million girls or alive today were married in China, 640 million or 12 million girls per year. Global child marriage rate decreased slightly to 19%, but progress is insufficient to meet the SDG target of ending the child marriage by 2030. While India has recorded significant progress in recent decade, but still account for one third of the world's child bride. Reason for the child marriage: gender inequality होनी चाहिए, social norms हैं, poverty, गरीबी है, lack of education, safety concerns for the girl children, control over their sexuality. Initiative taken prevention of the child marriage act of 2006 that provides the legal age for prohibition of the child marriage. कब 2006. बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ scheme and similar scheme by state government to improve the practice when linked to the child marriage. A parliamentary standing committee is weighing the pros and the cons of raising the age of marriage for women to 21. Impact of child marriage on girls: less likely to remain in school, face an increased risk of early pregnancy, rise of child health complication and maternal health complications, isolate girls from family and friends, subject to domestic violence, sexual abuse. Internal displacement monitoring center releases 2023 global report on internal displacement. Grid IDMC Internal Displacement Monitoring Centers. Grid Global Report on Internal Displacement is world's leading source of data analysis on internal displacement. 2023 edition includes special focus on complex relationship between the disaster, conflict, violence, food security. IDMC Internal Displacement Monitoring Center. Internal Displacement Monitoring Center was established in 1998 as part of the Norwegian Refugee Council. Internal displacement refers to number of forced movement of people within the borders of their country. Internally displaced persons with individual or group forced to leave their places of habitual residence to avoid the conflict. Total number of internally displaced people reached its highest ever with 71.1 million internally displaced persons across the 110 countries and territories, and end of 2022 a 20% increase in a year of recognition. Total internally displaced people in India include 6.31 lakh from conflict and violence, while 32,000 due to disaster. 75% of the country assessed with food security crisis have IDPs. The country assessed with food security crisis have internally displaced now. टोटल पूरे वर्ल्ड में 71.1 है. इंडिया के 6.31 लाख फ्रॉम द कॉन्फ्लिक्ट एंड वायलेंस बाय 32,000 ड्यू टू डिजास्टर से 32,000 लोग कर रहे हैं, 32,000. और कॉन्फ्लिक्ट एंड वायलेंस से 6.31 लाख. अनकंडीशनल कैश असिस्टेंस फॉर सपोर्टिंग unconditional cash for supporting the immediate needs of the internally displaced. Developing internally displaced people livelihood skills to facilitate durable solutions by increasing their food security. Countries' self-reliance investments are needed to anticipatory action and risk reduction measures that strengthen the displaced community resilience. National Human Rights Commission accreditation. Global Alliance for National Human Rights accreditation. Global Alliance for National Human Rights Institution defer NHS accreditation for the second time in a row. Gandhi Global Alliance of National Human Rights Institution deferred accreditation of the National Human Rights Commission, citing objectives like the political interference in appointment involving police probes into human rights violation, poor cooperation with civil society, etc. Without accreditation, National Human Rights Commission will be unable to represent India at the UN Human Rights Council. Gandhi Global Alliance for National Human Rights Institution is responsible for reviewing and accrediting National Human Rights Institution in compliance with Paris Principle every 5 years. Paris Principle was adopted in 1993 by the UN General Assembly, helping develop a standard for national human rights. Global Alliance for National Human Rights Institution differs and National Human Rights Commission decrees for the second time in a row. Gandhi deferred starting objective like political interference in appointment and political interference involving police probes into human rights violation, poor cooperation with civil society. Without accreditation, NHC will be unable to represent India at the UNSC. Gandhi is responsible for reviewing and accrediting the National Human Rights Institution in compliance with Paris Principle every 5 years. Paris Principle was adopted in 1993 by the United Nations General Assembly, helping develop a standard for the National Human Rights Institution across the world. Mandate and competence. Autonomy from government. मैंडेट होना चाहिए, कॉम्पिटेंस ऑटोनॉमी होनी चाहिए, इंडिपेंडेंस गारंटेड बाय द स्टैट्यूट और कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, प्लूरलिज्म होना चाहिए, एडिक्वेट रिसोर्सेज, एडिक्वेट पावर्स ऑफ इन्वेस्टिगेशन. इन 2016 द टू नेशनल ह्यूमन राइट एक्रेडिटेशन वाज डिफर्ड by a year later in his recommendation 2013. Gandhi asked the NSC to address its lack of diversity regarding women disadvantaged from other marginalized social groups. Amendment to Protection of Human Rights Act 2019 sought to address these concerns. It increases the number of NSC and made chairpersons of the National Commission for the Backward Class, National Commission for Protection of Child, and Chief Commissioner Person with Disability deemed members of the NHRC. Backward class Child Right Disability Global Alliance for the National Human Rights Institution established in 1993 as an international coordinating committee of the National Institution for Promotion and Protection of the Human Rights. General Assembly of the GANRI Supreme Deliberative Body. Bureau is the GANRI Executive Committee. It is comprised of 60 members, 4 from each GANRI. A regional network of the Asia, Africa, America, Asia Pacific, and Europe. Headquarters Geneva, Switzerland. Section Learning Management Information System. Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has launched section Stimulated Advanced Knowledge for Sustainable Health Management. Stimulating 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 advanced knowledge for sustainable health management. Section Learning Management Information System. It has been developed by the National Institute of Health and Family Welfare, New Delhi. Saksham is a dedicated and unified platform for providing online training and medical education to all the health professionals in the country. It will ensure inclusive capacity building of health professionals from primary healthcare centers located in rural areas, remote areas. Capacity building, learning management info system, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Stimulating advanced knowledge, sustainable health, stimulating advanced knowledge for sustainable health management. Online training, medical education. It will ensure inclusive capacity building of health professionals from primary health centers located in rural and remote areas all the way up to the tertiary care and corporate hospitals in metropolitan cities.